Hello everybody and welcome back to this week's new reading video. This week I want to challenge myself to another no laptop challenge. Now there are going to be some exceptions to this, as there usually are. I can fill out my Goodreads, check my stats, rip my review because I prefer to type on the computer, and to edit my videos because obviously. But that's about it because I'm still quite behind on my Goodreads reading goal and I want to see if I can just focus more on reading. Today I have already read. I have an audiobook which really helps. I'm currently reading Meddling by Edgar Cantero. The other books that I have for this are Ball by Byron. I also was able to borrow the audiobook for this on Libby. It was available right away. And then I have a memoir, Sociopath by Patric, Gagne. At the moment, I'm about like 67% of the way through, maybe even further now because I've already read 80 pages today. Really great. I am listening to this via audio, like I said, which kind of sucks because this book doesn't actually have chapters. It's separated into 4 parts, and so is the audiobook. So it's really hard once I like stop the audiobook. I have to continue on with the audiobook, otherwise I won't be able to listen to again. I'm almost done with part 3 actually. When I initially bought this, I think it was pre-COVID, the bookseller to me at Barnes & Noble told me that this is like an adult version of Scooby-Doo, and I really liked that. It is horror, a little bit fantastical. There are these 4 kids and a dog, and they solved this big crime in their city. They unmasked someone. They realized that this monster was actually just this man. It became this whole new story in this small little town. Now, years later, this man has been released on parole, and one of them, Andy, goes to see him to say, I know you're lying. You didn't actually commit this crime. Nate is in a mental institution. Carrie, the bookworm, is not like a biologist, and Peter, the jock, one of them, died by suicide. Tim, the Weimaraner, is the son of the original dog who was with them when they were younger. Human name, so it's really weird. And there are like some other nods to like Scooby-Doo. Like I forget if it's a lake or a place, but it's called like Zoinks Lake or something. This is kind of weird. Nate, like I said, breaks out of this mental institution to join the girls, Carrie and Andy, to go back to this town, to Blythe Hill. He can hear voices, mainly Peter, the one who died. This book is also just written in a weird way with sometimes there's like regular text and dialogue, and then sometimes it kind of looks like how a play or a script might, where it says like the name and then what they're saying, which I don't really know the difference because it will suddenly happen. Again, I don't know if it's because I like started this via audio and just am not really getting the context, but this isn't my favorite. I honestly am just kind of pushing to finish it because I purchased it so long ago and because I'm like way too behind on my goal to be giving up on it. Anyway, happy Monday. It really is going to be a busy week for me though, because I do have to go into work every day this week. This is exactly why I want to read more and see how much I can do. Like I said, this book, Ball, is a YA contemporary. Trey is playing basketball on the high school team. He lives on the Indian reservation. His older brother died in an accident, and he was like the star player who really wanted to go to the NBA. And now that Trey has been taken under the wing by the team, he doesn't feel like he can fill his brother's shoes, and now it's his moment to like take the team to the state championships. Trey wants to fulfill his brother's dreams. This is a debut novel. And then this one this is a memoir I saw at a bookstore in London and just like was really intrigued and confused by this title. But I'm pretty sure that this is about Patric and realizing why she was so misunderstood and how she came to realize that she is a sociopath. In the lobby yesterday, my sister found 2 stacks of books of the Magic Tree House series. They're not really in order. Last night, as like a little bedtime story to myself, I read the first book for nostalgia's sake, and it was like really nice, and I went to sleep right after, so I think I might want to just like read these through for nostalgia's sake. Like I said, they're not really in order. There's also like this super edition that's a little bit bigger. I'm kind of looking forward to getting to these. Let me know if you used to read these as a kid. Oh my gosh. I thought she was so weird for deciding to take them, because even though they're like in really good condition, but I think it's going to be like my nice little bedtime story, and it's just a bonus that'll help me with my goal.
Through which dandelion heads poked and cheered at the sun. The top was more properly a track of frequent landslides that faded away just a few yards from the hilltop.
Ugly.
They're all ugly.
I went to the gym today and started res ball. A new girl's coming into work today, so I just want to like look really nice and have my shirt ironed. I read almost 80 pages of res ball. I unknowingly wore a basketball shirt to read a book about basketball. Obviously, the grief that his family, his community is experiencing over the death of his brother is quite big. There's a huge cloud over our main character, Trey, and his family, but especially Trey in that he feels incredibly overshadowed by his brother. His brother's, I guess, legacy. He was a huge basketball star. Trey right now is a freshman. He's on the JV team. Right now, it's the summer before sophomore year, and he really wants to make it onto the varsity team. Dallas is one of the upperclassmen. He's so nice. Really like believes in Trey and the progress that he's been making. And then there's someone mean like Mason who's like, you're not your brother. No offense, but like you're never gonna be like him. You just don't understand the team dynamic, which is really unfair to say because he's not even on the team yet. And Trey is working really hard. He has the support of his best friends Nate and Wes, one of whom is making a documentary about Trey and his journey. But it really sucks for Trey because he's grieving his brother and he wants to also keep his brother's like dream alive by making it his own. He also wants to make it to a Division I school, but also be like the first Native person to play on the NBA. He's pretty good from what I can tell, but the thing is like nobody really cares about the JV team, and his father was also a basketball player at their high school, constantly talks about Jackson and his plays and how proud of him he was. So it's just really hard for Trey. I just started to eat before I have to leave for work, so I wanted to be hands-free and started the audiobook because it was the one audiobook that I had. It's so bad. Do not pick up the audiobook for this. It is so monotonous and boring. What the fuck? I guess I'm just gonna be reading this physically. There is a girl that he likes who goes to their like rival school, but now there's a new girl, a senior at his school named Kiana that he's been hanging out with. I wanted to do a last check-in before I leave because I always forget to do this. I forgot to mention that I am going to be allowing myself at least one episode of a show. Length doesn't really matter, but yesterday I watched Abbott Elementary because it's gonna be like a really stressful week. I wanted to have other outlets for me to de-stress besides reading, and I really limited myself. I'm caught up. It's going well. I still read 254 pages, especially because I picked up Pirates Past Noon, the 4th book in the Magic Treehouse series, but I did decide to, like, I do want to kind of read them in order, so I put them on hold on Libby because they're available as ebooks on top of Resball. I do have a new audiobook out from the library now in case I do want to pick that up, though I might wait until tomorrow to start it at the gym. And it's Making Friends Can Be Murder by Kathleen West, and I believe this is another cozy mystery. I really actually like how crisp this shirt looks with the lip. I'm taking an eating break. I opted out of going to the gym today so that I could edit my YouTube video because I'm really behind. I read so much yesterday because I read on the treadmill and like on my commute, and then I finished off with, of course, Magic Treehouse. I think book 5, Night of the Ninjas. Yesterday's page count was 254. Thank you. Yes, wait, no, Monday's page count. Tuesday's page count was 264 because I read almost 200 pages of Resball, so I feel confident that I can finish it today, hopefully. We're now on chapter 23. Christmas is about to start. Trey's playing really well. Mason seems to be more like an asshole, although Dallas has like made excuses for him, saying that he had a hard childhood or whatever, but his behavior is just really uncalled for, and he's such like a cocky bastard, and he's the one who made mistakes for himself for senior year, so that's on him. He's doing really well, so I hope that the end is going to be like a good finish and that Trey can really contribute to this team. I don't want to give away like too much. Night of the Ninjas, I'm giving 1 star. Compared to the other books, the other two that I've read, or from what I remember, this book just included so little historical information or facts, and it felt like the author did the least amount of research that it was feeling racist. And I understand that there might have been like a language barrier, but they were literally like communicating with dinosaurs dinosaurs and shit, so I feel like something could have been done there. It's literally a book for children, and it's a book supposed to be a book about the time of ninjas, but they were barely part of it, and the mouse that they find in the treehouse was honestly more of a character. So 1 star. Coda's gonna come pick me up after work today, so I don't know how much I'll get done after, so I want to like edit a lot more right now. I think I will read my physical copy while I eat my breakfast. I have to keep this short because I'm kind of running late. I didn't update after Wednesday. Wednesday was a pretty good reading day. I finished Resball and I read 155 pages, really good. Like I said, Coda came to pick me up after work, so we just spent the night together. And then yesterday was a slow reading day. I didn't sleep very well the last couple of days, so I let myself sleep in, which means I didn't go to the gym. I started a little bit of my audiobook while I was getting ready of Making Friends Can Be Murder by Kathleen West. And it's a funny one. This 17-year-old high schooler creates a school project where she gathers all of these Sarah Joneses together as like a club because of how popular their name is. And then I also on the train started Sociopath by Patric, Gagne, the memoir, and I only read 10 pages of that because Coda and I were doing our New York Times games on our commute. But I did go to the gym today and I ran, so I read a lot of my audiobook. I just did the calculations and I am already like 48% of the way through now, which means that I've read over 100, almost 180 pages of it, so feeling really good about it. The plot of this one is now that one of the Sarah Joneses who wasn't in their club but also lives in their town has been murdered, or is dead at least, and the FBI is investigating it because of like her job, like how high up she worked at the Federal Reserve. One of the agents investigating it was also looking into this fraud case and meets one of the Sarahs. They all go by their age, so 30. She's like the main Sarah in the story. She's now his personal trainer but also his informant, and they have a crush on each other, which feels very unprofessional, unethical, and illegal. So I don't really know if I like that relationship there. I can't really get super excited about that relationship. Started my period, so not feeling 100%, so I let myself have a little lie-in. I read in bed and completed 2 books actually, which was obviously Magic Treehouse books since I've been slacking on them, my little bedtime stories. But the books I completed were number 6 and 9, Afternoon on the Maze and Dolphins at Daybreak. I gave Afternoon on the Amazon 3 stars just because like nothing was really happening, but it did make me really nostalgic about the rainforest unit that I had in 3rd grade. Dolphins at Daybreak I gave 4 stars because it was just really fun and cool and being under the ocean and stuff like that. So now I've read 90 books in the year and I'm 5 books till I'm on track, and it just means that I have 10 books left to read in the year, which is great. I'm going out today. Coda and I are getting dinner and then we're going to the speakeasy where our friends work with our friend, like our coworker friend and his boyfriend, so I'm excited for drinks, kind of. I don't think Sociopath will fit in my bag, but honestly, like this is really interesting. On Friday, I didn't read too much. I read maybe like 15 more pages of this, but it does get really interesting being in the mind of a sociopath and like seeing what is really making them so different when it's not in like a really super violent criminal way. So I will probably stick with my audiobook of Making Friends Can Be Murder, which I'm 43% of the way in and I'm still enjoying that as well. I hope that I can make a decent dent today since it's a slower day and like my night is pretty much filled. Yesterday I had a really good time. We ended up staying out for drinks a lot longer than I thought, but I'm really glad that I was able to get to know my friend's boyfriend a lot better. I did end up doing a good amount of reading because of the 2 Magic Treehouse books, and I read 193 pages. That's including like the 10% of the audiobook that I was able to listen to. I did finish Making Friends Can Be Murder today. I completed like the 45%, which was 194 pages. Yay. In this book, there is also a FBI agent named George Nightingale who's investigating this fraud. One of the Sarah Joneses is not who she says she is, and our main character, she becomes George's informant, which I did not like, and understandably she became very conflicted because she wasn't really knowingly like an official informant and thought that they were just investigating this murder of another Sarah Jones who is not a part of their club, but George is now investigating both the murder of the Sarah Jones and the fraud. I gave this book 3 3.75 stars. I thought it was fun and interesting, like a good ride, but the whole dating your informant thing was just a real no-no for me. The stakes of the fraud wasn't really for me, and like how it connected to the murder was just all so incredibly obvious. By the time that you figure out who the fraud is about, it just all seems like everything's written on the paper. For the week, I've already read, I calculated everything from Monday to Saturday at least, and I've already read over 1,100 pages, like 1,100 pages. I didn't really do that much of watching TV like the latter half of the week, although Coda and I were watching Lord of the Rings. I kind of forgave that because it's time that we were spending together, but also because of how much I was reading otherwise. So I'm really happy with that. I'm now about to enter part 2 of Sociopath, so I also thought it would be kind of a good time to talk about this. This is quite wild. At this point, I think she's in junior high. It's the summer before junior high. She's met a boy that she loves and is coming to like this really practical decision of why she loves him and how she can. He is definitely accepting of who she is. She doesn't really know that she's a sociopath yet, but she very much knows that she's different, and her mother is having an incredibly difficult time knowing how to deal with that because she also doesn't really have a name for it. Her like pet ferret died and she just had zero emotion, didn't tell anybody in school, although her younger sister was incredibly distraught about it, and she just doesn't understand why she has to be like sad and behave like everybody else. But David, this boy who's 4 years older than her, she's 14 and he's 18, so it's a little creepy, he doesn't see that as a fault in her, and she definitely really appreciates that. I've only seen stuff like this in TV shows like Dexter, so it's very weird seeing this play out in someone in real life, because she says that there are more sociopaths than we would know and not all of them are criminals. It's now past midnight, so I'm going to wrap up the vlog here. I actually read a total of 1,367 pages. I am very, very happy with that number. I'm not done with Sociopath, obviously, but I am just really glad with this page count. I think that even though I was spending more time with Coda in the latter half of the week and like watching stuff, I was making sure that I was prioritizing reading over like watching a lot of stuff. I think also it helped that I was in between shows because I finished Stranger Things and The Beast in Me, and I don't have something that I like want to binge watch a lot of, so that is definitely helpful. During this time I read 7 books, or 8 books rather, and started a 9th book because I had already been in the middle of Meddling Kids by Edgar Cantero, and I'm still reading Sociopath. Obviously that number is quite high because I'm reading like children's books, but I actually am enjoying like my nostalgic factor of them, even though the first one definitely hit the hardest. I think I'm still going to continue with it as my little bedtime story. I'm going to tuck myself in with that today. I really actually had a good time doing this. Thank goodness I'm catching up on my goal. I think now I have 9 books left to read in the year, so I'm very good with that number. That is so much more manageable than the previous like 19 books that it was. Let me know how far along you are in your goal, what you're currently excited to read, and I'll see you all in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.